Welcome to Sports Extra, the real sports platform. My name is Ruvimbo Chakoreka. I'm your host, as always. And this week, wait a minute. I know where you want to go on the international scene, but it's fine. It's fine. Let's start off on the local scene. We're going to be starting off with the Paramount Garments Harare Under 20 Rugby League. Match day one kicked off this last weekend. 6 matches that were on display, and we're going to be talking about the thrills, the spills, as well as the tears in that particular regard. When we move on from there, the latest in terms of the ZIFA elections update, what's going on, Zafambero Court, Asnofamba Court, well, we'll be talking all about that. And then, of course, we're going to go on to the international scene where we're going to be touching and pasting on quite a number of things, especially when it comes to the Australian Open. It's now getting to the business end of life. And of course, Novak Djokovic is going to be taking on Carlos Alcaraz in the quarterfinals. How intense is that going to be? Yes. Manchester United lost another game. 11 points in 11 games for Ruben Amorim. We're going to be talking about that, as well as what is also taking place in terms of the Italian Serie A. Yeah, a team that had 13 consecutive draws finally found a win. But all this and so much more right here on Sports Extra. And so I would be doing a massive disservice to this particular segment if I didn't have the man that I have right now, a man who is now a permanent fixture when it comes to Sports Extra. Maybe he might be the extra in the sports there, Ashley Mabena. Ash, thank you very much for joining us. And as always, I think whenever you come and you step on this field, you've got so many memories, isn't it?
Thanks, Rimbo. Thanks for having me, Sports Extra. Yeah, field is hallowed ground for some of us. This is where we left a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah, it means a lot.
Are you willing to put more?
No, just my brains, maybe.
No more spare parts
No
for
more spare
Ashley.
parts for me. Yeah.
All right, Ash, let's go straight into it. Match week one, match day one, whichever way you would love to call it, for the Paramount Garments Harare Under 20 Rugby League. Kicked off at Old Georgians. The field was looking great, by the way, at Old Georgians, despite all of the inclement weather that had been there before, but they managed to put up a pretty good and strong turf. Your general assessment in terms of the overall quality of rugby that was played? We know it was only 6 matches that were played. Other matches will obviously be incorporated as we go, but your general assessment on the quality of rugby?
Well, the quality of rugby in Zim right now, it's been stagnant. You know, we're still seeing the same 3-4 teams. The good thing now is we've seen a couple of new teams coming on board, Hunters, Talons. You're getting new teams coming on board. So yeah, it bodes well for Zim Junior Rugby, and hopefully they can carry that into the Premier League, and we'll see more clubs in the Premier League.
All right, and talking about generally the four that you mentioned right now, obviously, without even taking any guesses around that, that would be Pitbulls, Old Georgians, Old Hararians, Harare Sports Club, their general play, over this weekend.
Right, over the weekend, they have been, for me, they were a bit of an enigma. You know, you're really trying to figure out what could have gone wrong, what could have gone right. I'll start off with Old Hararians. Old Hararians, they have a very good history with the under-20s. This time around, they seem to have been challenged by Northern Chiefs. Bodes well for rugby, like I said. And seeing that Northern Chiefs does not have any big names on that roster, no big schoolboys, like from PE Churchill, it looks good for Northern Chiefs. I was kind of expecting OH to run over them, to run riot, score maybe 80, 90. But you look at the game and realize that it came down to individual brilliance. If all the Hararians had started off with the structure and finished off with the structure, that game would have been very, very dismal. Probably Northern Chiefs, yes, scoring 2 tries is big against OH. This is their first game. Northern Chiefs hasn't been on the rise or anything. They've just been there, sitting there like XP Horns and them. They took OH the distance in the first half. OH only came back when there was individual brilliance in the second half. Let's look at OGs. OGs has the bulk of the 2024 Zima Under 20 squad, the 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, we're expecting a cleaner game from them. We didn't get that. We got flashes of brilliance, flashes of organized, structured play. Ultimately, a victory. Yes, points are points on the table. Sports club stuck to their game, played their structure. Not much star play. It was structure. So maybe the young guys need to be given a bit of room to express themselves. They forced themselves into structure when they could have explored a bit of flair. They then stuck to structure, but it gave them a victory. Then we look at Pitbulls. I think for 2025, Pitbulls is the team to beat.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think they played a very good game as well. But look, as we are talking about that, I want us to slightly run away from them because we are going to be talking about it as the game of the week. And just look at the overall crowd coming out, the vibe, you know. I think the last time we had any form of rugby was around about November, thereabouts. And we've had approximately a month and a half of silence. But coming back into it, were you generally happy with the attendance?
I was quite happy. It's the same old guys, the rugby fanatics, the people who want to watch rugby were really there. The guys that you know that are at the heart of rugby fanship in Zimbabwe. If there was a Coca-Cola cone, I'm sure basically you would say it was full. The rest of the ground might have been empty, but the Coca-Cola corner of Zimbabwe rugby was there. Yeah, you have the old guys watching, advising, supporting the game. And it's a good thing. And the new guys, the young guys that are vying for these jerseys within these teams, they're there, they're watching. And we need a whole lot more. If there was a way of taking maybe one weekend to some school in the ghetto, it'd be lovely. I'm sure it would get bigger numbers.
Yeah, definitely, and hopefully that will be an idea that they will go through with some of the plans that Harare province is actually looking to deliver and go about within this new season. Let's jump into our match day or game of the week for this particular match day. There was a lot of pomp and fanfare around this particular one. The defending champions playing against the newly promoted side, Zambezi Steelers, and you know there was the thought that Zambezi Steelers might just pip the Pitbulls. So let's go into your general thoughts around that particular game, how it fared, and ultimately how it came through.
Let's talk Steelers first of all. Before we look at Pitbulls, let's look at Steelers. Steelers are the new boys in the league. Coming from the B League where they dominated, the game is different now. They're facing the real challenge, playing against the big dogs of the Pitbulls of the league.
Pun intended.
Yes. So and they get the biggest game. They kick off their season with the biggest game against the defending champions. Steelers have the skill set, they have the structure, they have the heart to play the game. Pitbulls rose to the challenge in the second half. Steelers, well coached. Ricky's doing a good job. Ricky, Nyasha and Lucky, they're doing a good job bringing the kids to that level. Steelers in December went on tour to Dubai. Different team that went there for other reasons. They had a different team that went there. But the few guys that played showed that they had gained something from that little exposure they had. Then let's look at Jeff Madaki, Bob Mahari, and Itai Nyakambase and their team. Those guys have built a monster machine. You know, that's a monster truck. It's going to run riot over everyone.
Yeah.
I am not too sure what will happen if they still have any guys in school, how they'll balance it out. But for now, their team looks awesome. They had a massive pack, which then only came to the party late. But first half, they didn't express themselves. Second half, the forwards started expressing themselves, and you could see that they dominated the game more than the backline. Backline got clean ball from the forwards. Good thing. That's the structure that they're supposed to play. Those are two teams that played exactly what they were taught. You can actually see that they're both playing structure. And it comes down to missed tackle, just those small things. Just a small side step, a small bit of movement. That's where you see the brilliance of coaching from either side.
Now, of course, going forward from here, what are your general expectations, particularly from these Premiership sides, to show that they are Premiership sides?
Let's see what the next week brings us. We're looking at just about every team stepping up. Would expect the coach at OH, he's going to be in the kids' ears. Guys, we have a structure. We do not play individual brilliance. Let's play the game that I'm training you. Let's play the game that I coached you. You know your job, do your job. You go to OGs, all Georgians, it's basically the guys being told, guys, it's another game. Do not play the same way. Let's play as we trained. Add in the experience and the exposure that their team has. They have a massive backline that was the backbone of Zim Under 20 last year. And it's that little bit of difference that they're going to apply. Guys, we've got everything that we need. What we did wrong is because we didn't listen. We'll give them the credit. It was their first game. So maybe they were a bit jittery or they were not up to match fitness, was not up to code. But right now, we're hoping to see a bit more. Let's look at Steelers. Steelers will definitely step up. Steelers have a point to prove. They have everything that they need. They have a great coach. They have a great system that they've been working on since, I think, November. So losing to Pitbulls, I don't think they'll look much into it. Pitbulls are the defending champions. You're the new boys. So, yeah, we'll see how they fare against the other big boys. And I'm sure there's going to be an upset. Either they'll beat Sports Club or they'll beat OH. I'm giving you that. Then let's look at the other boys, Talons, Zimbiru Titans. Those guys are learning with every game. So they will have their own El Clasicos in their own range.
Yeah.
After the top four, you're going to see these guys playing their best rugby when they play against each other. When they walk onto the field without jitters, without nerves of playing names that they've watched from the terraces. So now they're playing each other, know each other from school. They'll play a better game. Then I think the other small teams would need to step up. Just step up and play an ordinary game. Talons from Marondera, I don't know how big their player pool is or their source of players, but they seem to have something to bring to the league.
Oh, yes, definitely. And we'll be looking forward to that and hoping that it actually comes all together. Now, for those of you that may have missed a match day one, we have got two matches that are up and running on our YouTube channel. That's a Sports Extra ZW. You can go there and you can be able to see those two matches, Pitbulls versus Steelers. We've also got Harare Sports Club versus the Marondera Talons. So let's see how all of that will take place and how you will enjoy all of that action. Would love to see your thoughts and your comments. Our analysis is not ours alone, but would love to hear your analysis as well. But a quick rundown of all of the results that came through over the weekend, inclusive of the girls' fixture, the home side. Old Georgians, unfortunately, not strong enough to withstand Old Ararians, losing 32-10. And so, of course, that was, how the cookie crumbled. But I'm sure the cookie is going to crumble quite differently when we get into the next round of fixtures. They're going to be a little bit more evenly matched. We're looking forward to potentially an Old Georgians versus Old Ararians match. The fixture list is yet to come out, but when you do tune in for our next episode, we will have the fixture list and how it will be looking like for match day 2 of the Paramount Garments Harare Under 20 Rugby League. Make sure you stay tuned. We are going to be talking about the ZIFA elections, whether you're going as a president, as a board member, what it's looking like, what decisions have been made. Don't go away. All right, so welcome back to Sports Extra. Don't forget to like, to share, to comment, to subscribe to all of our social media platforms. TikTok seemingly gone somewhere. But anyway, it seems like TikTok is back. So we are there at Sports Extra ZW. We are on Instagram as well as on Facebook at Sports Extra Zim. And then our YouTube channel as well is very much alive and kicking at Sports Extra ZW, which is where you're most likely watching this particular episode. So let's get straight into our football. Our local football at the present moment is more engrossed Not to say that there isn't much happening, because preseason is happening, a couple of transfers here, this and that, coaches moving left, right, and center. But is all engrossed as to who is going to be sitting right at the top of our football in terms of our ZIFA presidential as well as board elections that are going to be happening. Now, Ashley, obviously we've seen the helter-skelter that has happened so far, and the latest coming out of Prophet Walter Magaya going to the High Court is that there is a decision that is then supposed to be made this week. But regardless, Anzinyayema Olevondo yakakosha, Ashley.
Yeah. You see, there are some indisputable facts that we have to deal with. Does he have the 5 O levels? What does the Constitution say vis-a-vis running for president of ZIFA without the 5 O levels? He's got a diploma, a degree, a doctorate of some sort. Does that count? Are they things that he worked for? Are they honorary? Do they count? Do they not? So, yeah, we'll see how the court decides. But the elections themselves look quite interesting, eh?
Yeah.
They look quite interesting. We would love to see what... we've seen the manifestos, eh? Yeah, I'm hoping someone like Makwinji Somapiri wins, you know?
No, it would be a great surprise. I think we haven't seen a former footballer actually taking over. We've seen astute businessmen running the association and so on. So I think maybe as a former player, it might be something a little bit new. But that goes out the window. Court of arbitration for sport, I think that's another important aspect to look at. I think we've seen globally other stories being dealt with, whether it's players not being paid, players' transfer fees or sign-on fees and so on being messed around with, but Court of Arbitration for Sport stepping in. But in this particular case, they've said, look, we are only going to look at your matter on the 23rd of January, and 2 days later, we've got an election. So effectively, we can say all the 3 that went to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, Zafarat.
You know, it's a decision on the 23rd. Decision could go either way. And it's going to change the whole dynamics 2 days later. Are you on the ballot or not? And how effective is that going to be when it comes to spoiling the vote for the next candidate? There are lots of candidates and there's a lot of drama going on. So if anyone loses their support to the others that had been suspended, or guys that had pledged their support to the suspended candidates, they have to find an option where to put their vote. And if these guys come back, it's going to be a very thin vote. But at the end of the day, I think basically every other football-loving Zimbabwean, Zimbabwean football-loving Zimbabwean, all we want to see is what's best for football.
Well, ultimately, what's best for football is what we would like, and that's what we want to see. But talking about what's best for football, one of the other breaking issues on the transfer zone scene is the fact that Dynamos have officially substantiated Lloyd Mablanyo Chigoe as the head coach for Dynamos going into the 2025 Premier Soccer League season. And obviously, that will be sponsored under Castle Lager. So, good decision, bad decision?
It's actually a very good decision, eh? He's got a very rich history with Dynamos as a player, as a coach. Good or bad, winning or losing, he knows the system. He knows how to survive the politics. And he knows his role when he comes in. He's usually coming mainly as a stopgap measure. So you understand that right now it's a stopgap measure, but he's got what it takes to survive at Dynamos. Surviving the league is going to be a different story. He might survive the politics and the gamesmanship at Dynamos, but I'm not too sure how he's going to fare on the league, given that the new boys have pretty much mopped up the cream of the players.
Well, let's see whether Lloyd Chigoe will do it. He held open trials. In other words, come off the street, come from Chikweshe, come from Mabuza, come and show me what you got. He's already held those kinds of trials as well to see whether he can be able to pick up more talent that will help him move to the next stage. And so, of course, that's it. We are going to be keeping our eyes and our tabs on it. By the time we get through to the next episode this week, we should be able to give you the fine margins, the fine lines of what is most likely going to happen concerning the ZIFA elections. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be touching here and there, talking about cricket, talking about tennis, talking about football, all this and so much more right here on Sports Extra. All right, so we're going to be taking a look at a number of things in this particular segment, and we're going to start off with our local cricket now. Ash, Logan Cup currently taking place. Eagles taking on the Southern Rocks. That match is still continuing. Finally, they found some daylight, so they're now getting that going. But down where the Tuskers were looking to play the Rhinos there, unfortunately, that match just couldn't happen, and that one has totally come off. But your general assessment as well as how the Logan Cup has currently gone, and looking at the top 6 batters at the present moment, some who did not feature for the Zimbabwe test side, and generally how you think this is now really shaping up to be.
I think we'll bring it down to club level. My take is Sogo Rangers. They've brought a lot of doubt into the current national team players because they have so many. Bulk of the 6 are players from Sogo Rangers at club level. They're playing provincial cricket, different provinces, but they're doing well. Scoring centuries, half centuries on the regular. And our current top batsmen for the national team, I'm sure they're sweating wherever they are because those jerseys are not safe. I don't know how they're safe anyway. I might say they're not safe. But yeah, we're beginning to question. You question yourself, what am I doing wrong? Same bowlers? You're facing the same bowlers, you're facing the same fielders. And these guys that are not even in the team are staking their claim. They are putting up their hand and saying there's something in them that you're not putting up for.
Oh yeah, and when we're looking at generally the top 6, you're looking at the Welch brothers, both Nick and Matt Welch, and then you're looking at the Campbell brothers, that is both Matthew and John, and then you're looking at the Bennett's as well, the like Brian Bennett, and of course you chuck in a Ben Curran in there as well.
Yeah.
So it has been really good in terms of how they have been able to rise to the occasion. But I think the major story when it comes to cricket right now is Nigeria.
Oh wow, that's one for the ages.
Definitely one for the ages. And hopefully it puts some doubts in ICC's mind. We know that there's been talk of this 2-tier division series to try and split nations and things like that. That will also split the way that money is distributed and so on and so forth. But how key, I would say first and foremostly for associate nations, is this particular victory by Nigeria?
Well, there's a new chairman on the ICC board, so yeah, he's going to say, "Listen, this is what we want to do." He'll probably run with it. But for Nigerian women, that looks awesome. You know, New Zealand are the current T20 champions, having beat South Africa.
Yeah.
And you're looking at it and saying, if the under-19s can beat New Zealand, Nigeria can build on this. I do not know. Okay, I'm sorry to throw in Zimbabwe. I do not know where Zimbabwe sits on this whole thing.
On the current spectrum.
On the spectrum. Are we there? Are we going up? Are we going down? Are we stagnant? We're not on the spectrum. We just seem to have disappeared and let other teams play. Right now should be a big question, but let's not take away the glory from the spotlight from Nigeria under-19 women. They've outdone themselves. Very exceptional fielding. You never get the energy to defend a small total,
like
knowing
65.
that. I guess New Zealand.
Yeah.
You'd walk onto the field and think, okay, these are seasoned players, more facilities than us, a bit more exposure than us, better equipped, and you go there and you pull it off. That's a massive boost for Nigerian cricket. Even the men will think they can do it as well.
And who knows, maybe they might. Let's not forget that they are also part of the 2026 T20 World Cup qualifiers that are going to be happening here in Zimbabwe, and they're going to be coming along with Rwanda, Uganda, Namibia, and also and Uganda and Namibia. Now we're now jittering, like, can we beat them, because they've beaten us before. So I think well done to Nigeria. Fabulous. I think it's going to be an absolute breakout for all associate nations. They will now feel full member nations can be taken down play with the heart, play with the grit, execute your skill level, and you'll get there. But let's move on from there and talk about a little bit of tennis action before we then wrap it up with football. Now, tennis, obviously, the first major of the year is happening in Australia. I mean, it is my wish one day to actually go there because I think there's lots of pomp and fanfare around that one. But the Australian Open is happening, and now we're getting to the business end of things. A couple of big names have been knocked out. Daniil Medvedev, he sank. Naomi Osaka, quite unfortunate, sinking to, abdominal pain. But Coco Gauff, doing very well. Carlos Alcaraz, showing that I'm now the new boy on the scene. Rafa Nadal stepped out. I'm the new Spanish boy that has stepped on, and things like that. How have you also just generally viewed how the Australian Open is going?
Let's start with the women. For the women, there's more fight. There are more players in there that you can see that want to win this. On the men's side, we've got a couple of guys that the biggest game will probably decide who's going to win the final. The quarterfinal between Joker and Alcaraz.
Yeah.
That is going to decide. For me, it's going to decide who's going to take the final.
Well, there's a Yannick Sinner who's milling around in the shadows there.
Yannick Sinner would not want to come, wouldn't want to come across one of these guys in the quarterfinals or the semifinals. Means you're going into the final, you're tired, you've played probably a 4 or 5 hour game against one of these guys.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big match. Then let's look at the women's side. Coco Gauff taking on
Sabalenka most likely. Yeah.
Yes, that's a big game. That's a big game on its own. Belinda Bencic might just squeeze in, but whoever she faces has to bring their A game.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's gonna be interesting to watch. I think it's interesting to watch the women.
Do you know someone who has actually shocked me? Elina Svitolina. She's an experienced player, obviously coming from Ukraine, and she's been there and thereabouts. I believe she's only got one French Open title that she was able to pick up, but quite some years back. But her experience currently showing she's also just been going behind the scenes in the shadows, and there she is in the quarterfinal. She might just allow the Giants to just smash each other and then just pop up in the final.
She pops up in the final. I think she has she doesn't have the big match temperament. She's won just one Grand Slam. She needs to. She's been on the scene for long, so you'd hope that she's had the match temperament that will make her win another one. But it seems like when she gets to finals, she then stumbles. Her game goes south. I don't know if it's the confidence of being on that stage, but she's won one. She's played in quite a number of finals, but she's only come away with one.
Yeah, fair enough assessment. Let's see how Elina Svitolina will look to prove Ashley wrong, and then maybe she can also write it on Twitter. But all right, so let's now move on to what I know many people want to talk about, and that's obviously our European football roundup, and just take a look at what happened over the weekend. Well, for the general weekend overall, it was a good one for Liverpool, coming out 2-0 winners. Darwin Núñez actually just fulfilling what the manager spoke a day before in the press conference, that the Núñez goals are coming.
Yeah.
And it seems, he says, we've found a way of how to be able to play with him. Is it true, though?
I think it's true. Why do I say so? We've seen Nicholas Jackson and what's it? Mauricio at Chelsea. They have done something to Nicholas Jackson. He started scoring. It's just how the coach gets into the player's head and gets him to do the job that he wants him to do. And Núñez is well under pressure because he's got Jota, Luis, Salah up front. And he's got to stake his claim there. So, yeah, him scoring over the weekend was a good thing.
Ultimately, and then when we look at the other teams that obviously got to play, I think the sticky sore thumb was Manchester United losing by 3-1 against Brighton and Hove Albion. I don't think there was much of a surprise in that particular result.
No, not that one.
But I guess it's the way that Manchester United are performing quite well in a big match and then going ahead and losing a match in which they're all expected to win.
To be frank with you, Brighton has been a thorn in many a big team's side this season. They have given almost every team a run for their money. They have beaten Chelsea. They've beaten Tottenham, if I'm not mistaken. They have given Liverpool a run for their money. Even Arsenal has been put to the test by Brighton. So looking at it, yes, well, Manchester United never came from a big win. You know, it's just one of those one of those games where Amad Diallo managed to outdo everyone by himself. Then you come back to the team, and the team, well, decides not to come to the party.
Well, fair enough, fair enough. But for Pep Guardiola, has resurrection time come?
I think his personal issues are affecting him big time. We didn't know what was going on in the background. We thought the team losing, we had something to do with him losing his magic, but it seems like he's lost in his way, both on and off the field. So right now it's one of those touchy things that you don't know whether he's going to come back the same guy from his divorce, or it's going to affect him badly. So yeah, maybe give him a bit of space to deal with his personal issues. Maybe take a break from coaching, but he's got a new contract, so he can't take a break.
Yeah.
He's got a coach,
Yeah.
and Haaland's got a bigger contract, taking him to somewhere like 2030. So he's got the players, but his mind, I just don't see him being there.
Being there. Well, look, a 6-0 win yesterday against Ipswich Town, following after that 8-0 win over the FA Cup. Many people tend to think that in January, that's what Pep Guardiola does. Once he gets on a winning trail, he doesn't stop.
Well, Pep Guardiola doesn't walk onto the field with the other 10 guys.
Fair enough.
Those guys feed off the energy he gives them during training. Come game day, they will play whatever they felt during the week.
That brings us to the end of the show. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you so much for all of your comments, for all of your feedback, your likes, your shares, your subscriptions. Thank you very much. Keep on subscribing. Spread the word. Sports Extra is here. We are the real sports platform. It leaves me to say thank you so much, Ashley, for joining us. And of course, we're looking forward to you coming back. I know another time you'll be coming back and you'll be Liverpool
Great
strong.
to be here, yeah.
And just putting daggers to all the Man United fans that are out there.
Yeah.
But from us to you, until next time, cheerio.
Cheer.